Hope you all had a nice festival celebration yesterday. Belated Varalakshmi Shubhashayas to all of you. And before we start, can you all please turn on your videos? I totally appreciate that. Yeah, I see a lot of black squares. Thank you. That will be much better. Okay, shall we start? Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. All right, welcome back everyone. How have you all been? Good? Good to hear that. So, let's start with our quiz. Let's find the answer for our quiz. Did you all try? Do you remember what it was? Okay. And don't write the answers yet for me. Can you all see my screen? Hang on, I can see you all. Okay. Can you all see my screen? All right. So the question was, Vrikshagravasi nacha pakshirajaha Trinetradhari na cha Shulapanihi Tvagvastradhari na cha Siddha Yogi Jalancha Bibhran na Ghato na Meghaha. So we saw the word split and we saw the meaning also. All right, now go ahead and type up your answer in the chat window. All right, Narikela Phalam, correct. Yeah, most of you got the answer. That's good. So who wants to raise your hand and explain it to me why? Your answer is correct. Who wants to explain? You can raise your hand right there. Yogesh, go ahead. I will unmute you. Yeah.
Namo Namaha. The first line, Vrukshagravasi Nacha Pakshiraja. So it is at the top of the tree, but it's not a Pakshi, it's not a bird. And therefore, obviously, that coconut trees are so tall, and the coconut fruit is found only at the top. So that also justifies. Secondly, Trinetradhari Nacha Shulapani. So again, the coconut tree has three eyes. When you use it before the god, you can see the three eyes. And it's we say Shulapani, the Mahadev has three eyes, but it doesn't. It's not a Mahadev. Then Tvagavastadhari Nacha Siddha Yogi. As you see, coconut tree has that's kind of cloths. So typically those cloths are you find them Siddha Yogi or sadhus wearing that, but it's not that, it's not just Siddha Yogi. Therefore, it's again a one clue. And the last one is very clear. Jalancha Bibhran Gathona Mega. I mean, it is a pot which is full of water, but it is not a meg. That means cloud. So therefore, the last line confirms it to be a coconut, Narikela Phalam.
Perfect. That was awesome. Thank you, Yogesh.
Thank you.
All right. He perfectly analyzed the lines and he explained to us. And one thing I'd like to add to that is the Tvagvastra Dhari, that Tvagvastra is made from the coconut coir, right? It's coming on to the Siddha Yogis later. It is first on the Narikela itself. So that perfectly answers our riddle today. So I just got some, depiction of that. All right. That's fantastic. So, how about some review from last week's lessons? Who wants to chant Agnav Dagdham for me? You can raise your hand in the chat window. Is it Narumadi Tvagvastra? Correct. Shamant Hasahalu, yes. Is it Narumadi you're saying, right? Tvagvastra means coir, and that's where it's coming from, the coir of the coconut or the bark of the tree. All right, do I have any raised hands? Should I volunteer you now? Shall I pick someone myself? Okay, how about Shamant? Okay, go ahead, Shamant.
Agnav Dagdham Jale Magnam Hrutam Taskara Parthivai Tatsarvam Danamikyahuhu Yadi Klaibhyam Na Bhashata
Bhashate.
Bhashate.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, that was good. And the next one was Atidanat. Any volunteers for Atidanat? How about Suman Acharya? No? Nilima?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Atidanat. Yeah.
No, the next one.
Atidanat bal.
The
Yeah.
next one. The next one was, sorry, yes, Atidanat. Go ahead, Nilima.
Atidanat balirbadhaha yatimanat suyudhanaha atilaulyad dravani hantaha ati sarvatra varjayet.
Awesome. Ravano Hantaha.
Oh, I copied it wrong.
Yeah, Ravano
I'm so
Hantaha.
sorry.
That's okay. Ravane means is by Ravana. So nobody was killed by Ravana. Ravana himself was killed, right? All right. Jeshthatvam. Who wants to tell me Jeshthatvam? All right. Ronika? No? Okay. Suresh?
Yeah, I'm going to read.
Yeah, go ahead. Looks like most of you are reading today.
Jeshtatvam janmana naiva gune jeshtatvam uchyate guna gurutvamayati tugdam dadi kritam kramat.
Very nice. Takshakasya. Go ahead, Yogesh.
तक्षकस्य विषं दन्ते मक्षिकायाश्च मस्तके वृश्चिकस्य विषं पृच्छे सर्वांगे दुर्जनस्य च.
Puchhe. Vrishchikasya Visham Puchhe. Very nice. Asha Nama. We don't have anybody by name Asha to volunteer, right? How about Snehashri? Did I hear somebody? Snehashri, louder. I can't hear you. You are unmuted, but I can't hear you though. I can't see any raised hands. I don't know. I am sorry, guys. I'm not able to see any raised hands here. My bad. I am picking on people without seeing the raised hands. It's not showing on my screen for whatever reason. Oh, okay. Now I see. Jayashri. Jayashri, go ahead. Jayashri, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Go ahead. Asha Nama.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Asha Nama Manushanam Kachidascharya Shrunkala Yatha
Yeah.
Pradavanti Mukta
Tishtanti.
Tishtanti Panguvata.
Okay, we had a lot of lag, I think. I think it's the internet probably. That's okay. Okay, next one. Vagadambaravan. Who wants to chant Vagadambaravan for me? Any raise hands that I'm not seeing? I'm not seeing any raise hands. Okay, Purna, go ahead.
वागाडम्बरवान् लोके न किञ्चित् कर्म मर्हति गर्जधगना न वर्षन्ति न गर्जन्ति घनाघनाः.
Nice, thank you, Auntie. I think in the beginning I got something. Nakinchit kartu marhati, not karma marhati. It is nakinchit kartu marhati. Thank you, Auntie. And next one was Sulabha Purusha Rajan. Yogesh? Okay, go ahead, Yogesh.
Yeah. Sulabhaha Purusha Rajan Satatam Priyavadinaha Apriyasya tu Patyasya Vakta Shrotra cha Durlabha.
Very nice. Vakta Shrota Chadurlabha.
Okay.
Wonderful. All right, that brings us to the end of last week's revision. And like, I want more volunteers. First week and second week, all of you were volunteering, right? I know as we go along, it'll be a lot of new shlokas and overwhelming, but at least learn one or two. So we'll have at least volunteers across the board and we can revise nicely too. Awesome. So all right, so go ahead. I wanted to make today's topics a little difficult for you to guess. So I made a word search. So fill in the blanks and find the words for the topics of the day. Type in your chat box, discipline, correct. Conduct, yes.
Product and
Okay. Nature, society, animal. Oh, I thought they were difficult. Humor, correct. Nature, trouble, death. Ooh. Very nice. You guys got most of it. I thought I made it difficult this time. Manure, no, not manure. Okay, what did we miss? Speech we got, death, speech. Okay, discipline, animal. Okay, the first one. Nobody got the first one so far. First one on both the sides. Yeah, everything you got. The first one on left and right, both. Date, no. God, very good. Good, Anupama, that was God. And gold, no. No, it's a 5-letter word. Mold, no. No, not could. I'll give you a hint. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Yes, world. Correct. All right, so we got all the topics for the day then. So these will be the topics we'll discuss. And one, as we always say, one shloka may address more than one of these topics today. So let me stop the screen share and share my shlokas. All right. So today, before I start with the shlokas, right, I want to tell you a story. I'll start with a story today, okay? So there was this one sadhu, and although he was a sadhu, he was a little bit, greedy, and he was always worried about his future. Arey, what if nobody gives me Bhiksha tomorrow, right? So they are supposed to live by Bhikshatanam. Whatever they get for that particular meal, they are supposed to eat. If they don't get, they're not supposed to eat. So this sadhu was a little, overly concerned, and he was like, what if I don't get? So he was always collecting some money or collecting a little bit of coins and stuff like that. And one day he decided to go for a yatra. So while going to yatra in the olden days, we know how it is, right? They have to tread through forests, and you never know where they have to go. So safety will become a concern. Now the sadhu got a little worried. Okay, what if somebody steals from me? Let me hide this pot of gold. So what he does, he doesn't trust anybody also. Arey, what if he uses up my coins? What if he steals my gold? So he decides, finally, I'm going to dig a hole and hide this pot where nobody goes. So he goes to a river bank. He digs up one big hole and he closes it. Now he looks around and he says, okay, wait a minute. I dug up and covered it. It's very safe. When I come back, how am I going to get it out? Right? So he says, wait a minute, I'll do one thing. I will actually make a lingam. It's sand, right? So he makes a sand lingam as a marker so that when he comes back, he knows where to dig it up, right? He makes the lingam, and one flower will fall on it, and he'll put the flower, he will do puja and say, oh Lord Ishvara, please protect my bounty and make sure it is safe till I come back. Awesome. He goes away and he comes back. After the Tirtha Yatram and all, he's so happy. Abba, thank God I finished my Yatram. Now, when he comes, what does he find? Actually, he finds the whole river bank filled with lingams now. There is one lingam here, one lingam there, one lingam there. Everywhere, it's filled up with lingas. He is like, okay, what just happened, right? Why should I tell you? Hey, wait, there's a Subhashita for that. Let me share screen and tell you what that is. Okay. All right, can you see my screen now? All of you can see it? Okay. All right, Ishan, can you unmute yourself? Saikatilingam, correct. Shamant, I don't think we are headed. Tanandu Bagedare, Devarandu Bagitu, not that. Let's see what we are at, okay? Okay. Ishan, can you unmute? Gatanugati loke.
Gatanugati loke. Gatanugati loke.
न कोऽपि पारमार्थिकः
न कोऽपि पारमार्थिकः न कोऽपि पारमार्थिकः
गङ्गासैकतलिङ्गेन
गङ्गासैकतलिङ्गेन
नष्टं मे ताम्रभाजनम्
नष्टं मे ताम्रभाजनम् नष्टं मे ताम्रभाजनम्
Together. गतानुगतिको लोके न कोऽपि पारमार्थिकः गङ्गासैकतलिङ्गेन नष्टं मे ताम्रभाजनम्.
गतानुगतिको लोके न कोऽपि पारमार्थिकः गङ्गासैकतलिङ्गेन नष्टं मे ताम्रभाजनम्.
Very nice. Thank you, Ishan. So the Pada Vigraha goes like this. Oops. All right. So Gata Anugatikaha Loke Na Kaha Api Paramarthikaha Ganga Saikatalingena Nashtam Me Tamra Bhajanam. So what he's saying here is Tamra Bhajanam, copper pot where he had put the gold coins. Okay. Ganga on the river bank. Saikata Lingena, the sand lingam. Because of that, so basically this whole episode I told you had happened, and then he said this shloka. Nashtam, I lost. Me Tamra Bhajanam. Again, Nashtam, this is an alternate way of writing. Sure, this standing line would not be there. You just write the sickle with the dash and the t. That's the font thing I keep telling you about. Okay, so Ganga Saikata Lingena, because of this episode of the sand lingam on the banks of river Ganga, I lost my pot of gold, the copper pot filled with gold. That's what the gold is understood here. That came in the story part. Why? The reason for that is in the first line. Gata anugatikaha loke. Loke in the world. Gata, one who goes. Anugata is one going behind. So basically followers. Gata is one who goes first. Anugatika is one who goes behind. Following, right? Who goes after him. That is why the word Anuja also, right? Anujaha or Anuja. Ja is being born. I was born. My Anujaha was, he followed me in birth. That's what the word literally means. When I say younger brother Anujaha or Anuja, that means he followed me in birth. See, the word itself is so beautiful. It tells you what the person is representing. When I say brother, if the first person called that brother as cousin, we would be calling our brothers as cousin, right? There is no etymology for it. There is no vyutpati for those words. But in Sanskrit, when I say Anujaha, which means he followed me in birth. So here similarly, Anugatika is I went and he came behind me. So basically he's talking about followership. Loka is just followers. Na kaha api, nobody is. Paramarthikaha, parama artha, nobody wants. Nobody wants to know the reason beyond the action. He put the lingam there because he wanted to hide the pot and put a marker. So one person came when he was doing the puja and leaving, then he decided, oh, when we come to this river bank, it's auspicious to make a lingam and do puja, let me also do. Then another fellow saw him, he also did the same. By the time the sadhu went and came back, the whole river bank was full of lingams. Now he doesn't know which was his. It was obviously not practical for him to dig up everything. So he is lamenting, saying, alas, this world is just a follower. Nobody bothers about the real reason behind any action. Right? Don't you think this is so true? Given the corona times, I don't know, I should be saying this or not, especially with festival season and the corona. I really think we should keep our fingers crossed and all the rituals, the so-called what we are supposed to do, should be really thought about in today's generation and era and what's going on in the world. They said you are supposed to do so and so and so thing for this festival. But practically, when social distancing is not possible, is it smart to go ahead and still do it? Not really, right? We have to reevaluate why these rituals were made and what time and generation these were made. Is it applicable to today's corona era? So long as we do not think about it, we will become this kind of anugatikahas and we will not be thinking about the parama artha behind any ritual or any particular aspect we do. So no matter what we are doing, we should think our actions through is what the shloka is emphasizing loud and clear to us. All right, clear so far? Any questions on this? Let's see. Let's see what they're saying. Blind follower. Yes, we are talking about blind followers here, which we don't want to be. Just like a dead fish moves according to the direction of the water. Correct. Because a dead fish has no say, right? So it just goes. It just absolutely applicable because, and not just today because of corona, right? I see youngsters also. What I want you to remember is peer pressure. This shloka is very, very applicable to you, right? Just because everybody else is doing, I should not also go and fall in the pit, right? They say like the sheep, one sheep falls and everybody falls. They know there is a huge valley there. They have reached the tip of the mountain. One sheep blindly jumped off And like in a line, everything, every sheep in the herd falls off. That imitation is really not a good idea. We have to think our actions through, right? And not just thinking, and after thinking also, we have to be honest about what we are saying. We should have the courage to say what we feel and what we truly believe in, right? It's not like I simply praise you for when I don't believe it, or I tell you the untruth just because you will feel bad. We know, right? Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat. So we don't want to be the person that's saying just for the sake of saying. Wait a minute. Hey, there's a Subhashita for that too. Let's see which one that is. Nikita, can you unmute? All right. Oh, we didn't see the meaning of this Gatanugatika. 1 minute. Let's read the meaning of Gatanugatika. People of the world are just followers. Nobody gets the true meaning. In the episode of the sand lingam on the banks of river Ganga, I lost my copper pot. So I think the words were pretty straightforward in this shloka. Is Saikata sand? Yes, Saikata means sand. Okay, Neelima is saying, is it how a son follows the elders by seeing? Correct, correct. That is why parents have to be very cautious about how they conduct themselves, because like they say, children do not follow what you say, but they will follow what you do. We may be saying, tell the truth, but if I am telling untruth, do you think my child is going to think about telling the truth? I may preach every single day, get up in the morning, you have to tell the truth, no lying, no cheating. What if I am doing that? Is the child going to follow that? He will say, hey, come on, you are only telling lies. They'll, you know, on the phone, they'll say, hey, tell Amma is not at home. And like you're training that child to tell lies, right? So no matter how many times you tell that child, don't tell lies, he's going to learn that only. Yeah, that too. So parents have to be very watchful. And also when the children grow up, see, there is a story about this, the twins of an alcoholic guy. Okay. They were both twins and grew up in the same household at the same, together and everything. One of the twin did not ever touch alcohol in his life. And the other twin became an absolute alcoholic. And somebody did an interview and asked both of them separately, They asked the first guy, why did you become an alcoholic? He blamed his father. I only saw my father drinking all the time, so I became an alcoholic. I didn't have a choice. Okay. And then they asked the other guy, why did you never touch alcohol? You know what he said? Oh my God, I saw my father being an alcoholic. I saw the bad repercussions of that on our family, how much we as children suffered, how much my mother suffered. So I did not want to do that to my family, so I did not touch alcohol. So see here. So the parents definitely have to establish the right thing. At the same time, the anugatika, the children should not be blind followers at that point either. Children should also think through, right? When they're very young, yeah, understandable. They will just follow. But once you are in high school and beyond, prapteti shodashe varshe, right? By the time you arrive at 16 years old, you have your own judgment. You have to start deciding good from bad also. If the parents are doing good, definitely follow through. If they're being like the story guy, the alcoholic guy, definitely not follow. So we always have to weigh the scenarios based upon what is going on at that time. All right. Somebody saying, it is all about perception and judgment that happens in adulthood. Absolutely. Can we analyze this as man proposes, God disposes? No, I do not think so. Yeah, eventually everything is like that. That becomes too much of, the Vedantic aspect of seeing it. But here right now, the focus is on anugatikaha. It's not about God giving something else other than what you deserve. So we are basically saying about the anugatika who don't think about their actions. The focus is more on the first line. Make sure that we are not talking about God proposes, man proposes, God disposes. Not that kind. All right. So the other story I was telling you about. So how we should not be fake and just because, peer pressure and say whatever we feel like, we have to think through. For that, we have another shloka. This is a really funny one. Nikita, unmute yourself. Ushtraanancha vivaheshu.
Ushtraanancha vivaheshu. Ushtraanancha vivaheshu.
Geetam gayanti gardabhaha.
Geetam gayanti gardabhaha. Geetam gayanti gardabhaha.
Parasparam prashamsanti.
Parasparam prashamsanti. Parasparam prashamsanti.
Aho rupamaho dhvanihi.
Aho rupamaho dhvanihi. Aho rupamaho dhvanihi.
Together. Ushtraanancha vivaheshu. Geetam gayanti gardabhaha. Parasparam prashamsanti. Aho rupamaho dhvanihi.
उष्ट्राणाञ्च विवाहेषु गीतं गायन्ति गर्दभाः परस्परं प्रशंसन्ति अहो रूपमहो ध्वनिः.
Thank you, Nikita. Yeah, this is from Samayochita Padyamalika. Let's see what they're talking about. Not many word splits actually. Parasparam prashamsanti. Okay, everything is pretty straightforward here. So, Ushtra means a camel. Okay. Gardabha means a donkey. So, what are camels and donkeys doing in this story? Ushtraanancha vivaheshu. In the wedding of two camels. Okay, imagine this scenario. In the forest or in the desert, two camels are getting married. So they also wanted Bhaja Bhajantri and all the 9 yards. So they wanted an orchestra. Who did they call? They called a pair of donkeys for orchestra. Okay, and the donkeys come. What do the donkeys say? They come and say, "Aha, what Rupam! What a beautiful bride and what a smart bridegroom." Parasparam prashamsanti. They are admiring each other. Aho Rupam. The donkeys will say to the camel, "Arey, how beautiful you look." And they have to give back a compliment, right? It's not nice to just take compliment and stay. So the camels tell them, "Aho Dhvanihi. Arey, what a beautiful, music you're singing." So they're parasparam prashamsanti. So this fakery, the fakery about saying things for the heck of it, which is not even true. This one can be annotated on many, many levels. Okay. One, to say, we have to always be honest in what we say. We shouldn't say just for the heck of it. And second one is, there is a saying in many languages, probably in Tamil also they say, "Kalda kenna theriyam kasturi vasane." Okay, to translate that to Kannada, it is kattegen gottu kasturi vasane, right? And in Telugu, it is a gaadkem gottu gandham vasana. Same thing as in different languages. Basically, it means this particular donkey doesn't know the fragrance of gandham or kasturi, so it cannot appreciate it. You put that kasturi in front of it, it'll say, "Oh, what a bad smell," because all it can smell is the dung. It doesn't know the beautiful fragrance of kasturi or gandham, so it will think that is not a great thing. It will say, "In front of this gobar, what you're bringing? You're bringing perfume in front of me?" So that it is, the knowledge of the donkey is so limited that it cannot enjoy something beyond itself, right? That is one thing. So we should first be capable of appreciating something nice. And even if you're not, definitely don't go for this kind of fake appreciation. I wanted to share one more screen with you for this. Hang on. Yep, this one. Aho Rupam, Aho Dhvani. So the camel and the donkey are applauding each other. So let's not be neither the camel nor the donkey, and let us think our actions through. All right. Okay, back to our shlokam. Let's see the meaning of the shlokam. All right. In the wedding of camels, donkeys sing the song. They praise each other. Ah, the form, ah, the voice. So our lesson from this should be not to be fake people. And when we are talking about speech and about talking, there is something else we need to remember. right? About our speech, how we should speak. Wait a minute, there's a Subhashita for that. Ishan, can you unmute yourself? Jihve pramanam janihi.
जिह्वे प्रमाणं जानीहि जिह्वे प्रमाणं जानीहि
Bhashane bhojanepi cha.
भाषणे भोजनेऽपि च भाषणे भोजनेऽपि च
Atyuktirati bhuktischa.
अत्युक्तिरतिभुक्तिश्च अत्युक्तिरतिभुक्तिश्च
Satyam pranapaharini.
सत्यं प्राणापहारिणी सत्यं प्राणापहारिणी
Together. Jihve pramanam janihi. Bhashane bhojanepi cha. Atyuktirati bhuktischa. Satyam pranapaharini.
जिह्वे प्रमाणं जानीहि भाषणे भोजनेऽपि च अत्युक्तिरतिभुक्तिश्च सत्यं प्राणापहारिणी
Thank you, Ishan. All right. So this one is also pretty simple. Jihve pramanam janihi bhashane bhojane api cha. Ati uktihi ati bhuktihi cha satyam pranapaharini. Prana apaharini. So most of our organs can do one thing, right? The eyes can see, nose can smell, yeah, and the skin can feel the touch. Like this, we have different attributes to each of our organs, but there is one organ which can do two things. Okay, sorry, I did not see the questions and comments for the previous one. We'll visit after this one then. Okay, so there is one organ which has two faculties, two strengths to itself, and that is jihva. Any idea what jihva can be? Jihva is the tongue, right? Tongue can do two things. It can taste, right? And it can talk. It comes under both these arenas, right? So in both these things, this shloka is addressing directly the Sambodhana Pratama Vibhakti Jihve. Hey Jihve. They are talking directly to the tongue. Hey Jihve. Pramanam janihi. Know your quantity. The quantity of how much. What? In what? Bhashane bhojane api cha. In speech as well as in eating. Know your pramanam, know your limitation, right? Why? Second line says, ati uktihi, talking too much, ati bhuktihi, eating too much, both of them, cha, both of them, satyam, definitely, prana apaharini, can take away your life. Don't we think so? Because, suppose I'm having some health issues and I eat what is varjya for me, what is not pathyam for me. What will happen? I will have an adverse effect, right? If a person is diabetic and he wants to binge on sweets, one whole box of rasagullas, no, right? That will become very fatal for his health. And so also is speech. When we say wrong things, when we say uncalled for things, we can bring trouble onto ourselves. So here they are telling the tongue directly, not the person alone. They are saying, hey, tongue, better be careful, both in your eating as well as in talking. Always be moderate and do the right things and be compassionate. Don't say rude words and don't be, unhealthy in your habits of eating, all these things. That's what this particular shloka is saying. So let's see the meaning. Hey tongue, know thy limitations in speech as well as in food, taste. Certainly, both overeating and over-talking could kill. So be very careful. Hey tongue, you have been forewarned. That's what the shloka is saying. All right, let's see if we have any questions. Sorry, I forgot to see the questions and comments on the previous one. Okay, Bandar kya jane adrak ka swad. Correct, similar to that Ushtrana Vivahishu. Make swollen up. What does it mean? Is the camel being fake or is arrogant over the donkey's comment? Okay, Nilima's question is about the previous shloka. Is the camel being fake or arrogant over the donkey's comment? Here, really there was no wedding for the camels, nor did they speak each other's language to say, you know, that it's a scenario we have to imagine. If we are arrogant, we should learn from the shloka to be not arrogant. If we are fake, we should learn not to be fake, or to accept comments from fake people, right? So it is for us to interpret. Any Subhashita, when they are giving a scenario, right, it is for us to interpret how we take. Like what we said, the bandar kya jane adrak ka swad and all, we use that same proverb in many scenarios, right? We can use it for fun also. We can tell it to our friends also, hey, come on, what do you know? You know, I am too good at math, what do you know? That kind also we can say. Or we can say in a different scenario where we are really serious about it. You know what? That person is being rude to me. He doesn't know what I am talking about. Let that not demean my confidence, right? So we can use this in many scenarios. So we have to understand the import of it and not get into dissecting whether this particular camel was arrogant and that particular camel was fake. It is not of any material to us. That is immaterial. So we have to get the import of it and learn both the lessons from that shloka. All right? Did that answer your question, Nilima? Okay. Can make you in prosperity and problem. The boneless organ can break. Yeah. Yeah. The tongue is a boneless organ which can get to break the bones, right? Can get you beaten up. Okay. Ati adre amrutavu vishavagabahudu. Correct. Ati sarvatra varjayet. We did in one of the classes, right? हमेशा हानिकारक होती है. Yeah, don't exaggerate anything. All right. And in case I missed any comments, because, you know, I don't want to spend too much time because we have more content to cover up. If your questions have not been answered at any time, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm always reachable via email. I will answer back the minute I get a chance. All right, next one. Was it? Nikita, can you unmute? Duradatitheyo yasya.
Duradatitheyo yasya. Duradatitheyo yasya.
Grihamayanti nirvritaha.
Grihamayanti nirvritaha. Grihamayanti nirvritaha.
Grihasthasatu vigneyaha.
Grihasthasatu vigneyaha. Grihasthasatu vigneyaha.
Sheshastu griharakshinaha.
Sheshastu griharakshinaha. Sheshastu griharakshinaha.
All right, together. Duradatitheyo yasya grihamayanti nirvritaha. Grihasthasatu vigneyaha. Sheshastu griharakshinaha.
Duradatitheyo yasya grihamayanti nirvritaha. Grihasthasatu vigneyaha. Sheshastu griharakshinaha.
All right, thank you, Nikita. Durat atithayah yasya griham ayanti nirvritaha. Grihasthaha sa tu vigneyah. Sheshaha tu griharakshinaha. All right, so we were talking about speech in the previous one, right? So how speech impacts, it depends on when somebody comes to our house, how we speak also, right? So he's saying atithayah. The word itself, I think we all can relate to as guest, right? Let's see the word itself. Hang on, what's going on? Okay, atithayah. So atithi means a guest, but why is he called an atithi? Atithi means a tithi. Tithi means date and time. A tithi means which does not have date and time. So literally, which means guest who does not need an appointment. In today's world, we have come down to, call me if I'm around, you can come and visit me, kind of thing, right? Society has become like that. But the word Atithi itself means they are welcome without an appointment. So technically speaking, we don't have any Atithis anymore, right? Because we know the fun, I keep saying, whenever this context comes, when we were youngsters, when the doorbell rang and we went to open the door, we didn't know who is on the other side. Oh, come in, come in, come in. That excitement to see somebody that we didn't expect would be so nice that we are unaware of to the, in this day and era. And like if they come 2 minutes late, I'm like, oh, your appointment was 10:30, right? Oh, you got delayed traffic. It becomes so mundane after that. So that kind of Atithi thing is gone now. So we should always welcome Atithis without making them feel like, why ever did I show up at their doorstep, right? Durat, those days they had to travel a lot to come to somebody's house. Durat Athitayah, when they came from faraway places, Yasya Griham, to whose house, Nirvrataha Ayanti. Nirvrataha is last in the first line. So without any hesitation, Nirvrataha Ayanti, they come. Saha Grihastaha iti Vigneyaha. Second line, that person is a true Grihastha. We are in the different ashramas, right? We are in Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, the ashramas. So if we are in Grihastha ashrama, it's our prime duty to be good to our guest. So he is the only Grihastha, but what about the rest of them who are not nice? Jihve Pramanam we saw, right? Who don't talk nicely. All those, Sheshaha, those people are Griha Rakshinaha. They are not Grihasthas. Even the word Grihastha, see, Griha Sthitaha, Grihe Sthitaha, one who stays in the house. Grihastha ashrama is one who is in the house. He is not doing atanam. Like a Vanaprastha or a sannyasi, they are doing atanam, right? Like nomads, they don't have a house. But a Grihastha is one who has a house, one who is established in a particular place, and he is Sthai Bhava in that place, right? But those who don't do that kind of Atithi Satkaram, they are Griha Rakshinaha, is saying. The poet is being really rude actually. Who is a Griha Rakshina? Rakshina is a person who protects. Who is the one who protects the house? Outside, the security guard. In India, we see, right? There'll be a guard sitting with one chair with a stick protecting the house. So instead of sitting outside on a chair, this person is sitting inside the house on a sofa. He is no better than that security guard. If you're not being good to your guests, you're as good as the security guard sitting on the chair outside, but only difference you're sitting on the couch in the AC inside the house. Very sad situation, right? So he's saying, be nice to people. I remember my mom always says, even if an enemy comes to your house, you welcome him and make him feel comfortable at your house. That should be the dharma of a grihastha. No matter who comes to your house, it is your dharma to treat them well and be nice to them and make them feel comfortable and at home. A very important practice in today's world that we have to keep in mind. Let's see the meaning of this. To those whose house, to whose house guests come from far and near and happily should be considered a householder. Rest are just guards to their houses. So let's not be guards, let's be the householders. Grihastha is such a powerful, nice word. Householder seems very lame to me. But anyway, that's English for us. Atithi Devo Bhava, correct. Atithi Devo Bhava, I think a few of you have written that. So that's what it is. We have to consider guest as nothing but God himself. Okay, let's see the comments on this one. Security, yeah. Security, the Rakshinaha is, yeah, security, but it's sad, right? We are not being a householder. We are just being security guards then. That's what he's saying here. One Atithi is still existing. The new one is the COVID outside our house. Yeah, let's not welcome him. Yeah, totally. He came without any appointment and he's sitting out there. So let's not call him Atithi to begin with. So then even a thief will come with, without an invitation. We can't invite him either. Oh, you came without an appointment. You are my guest. Come in. Not really, right? So yeah, we are talking about who really are visiting us willingly and nirvrataha ayanti. All right, Atithi Devo Bhava. What about terrorists? Nilima, the same answer. Like for the thief, They are not welcome. They are not guests, right? They are not telling you to compromise your security. But suppose I come and knock the door on your house, then you're like, oh, auntie, why did you even bother coming? You should have called me before. That's not how you would do. That's the difference we are talking about. This theme was opted in Ajay Devgan's movie. Okay, I guess so. Oh yes, Maryada Raman. I remember that one where, oh, this is a funny movie where, they are actually brutal mafia gang, but they have one system, one policy, okay? They will not hurt anybody inside the house threshold, okay? So unfortunately, this hero of the movie is a comedian who, is a very good actor. He becomes the guest in their house. They're actually looking for this fellow to kill him. Now he figures out inside the house, they will not kill him. So he will not step out of the door. They will try everything possible. He will go when they're not in the house. Without their knowledge, he'll come inside the house so that they can't kill him. It's a really funny movie. I think, whoever can understand Telugu should watch that, Maryada Ramanna. That's a good movie. All right. Yeah, that's the same concept as Atiti Devo Bhava in that story. All right. Next one. So we talked too much about ourselves. Let's talk about something about the world and the benefit of the world now. Ishan, can you unmute yourself? Bhuktva trunani shushkani.
Bhuktva trunani shushkani. Bhuktva trunani shushkani.
Pitva toyam jalashayat.
Pitva toyam jalashayat. Pitva toyam jalashayat.
Dugdham dadati lokebhyah.
Dugdham dadati lokebhyah. Dugdham dadati lokebhyah.
Gavo lokasya matarah.
Gavo lokasya matarah. Gavo lokasya matarah.
Together. Bhuktva trunani shushkani. Pitva toyam jalashayat. Dugdham dadati lokebhyah. Gavo lokasya matarah.
Bhuktva trunani shushkani. Pitva toyam jalashayat. Dugdham dadati lokebhyah. Gavo lokasya matarah.
All right, thank you, Ishan. All right, let's see the Pada Vigraha. Not much here also. And I'm not telling the chandas anyway because all of these are Anushtup only, pretty simple and straightforward. Bhuktva trinani shushkani. Bhuktva, having eaten. Okay, trinani, grass. Shushkani, it doesn't ask for, hey, give me fresh off the, ground. We want chapati fresh off the tawa, right? So the cow was not saying, get me fresh off the load, green, very, just grown kind of grass. Shushkani also, hey, that is dried out. Shushkani trunani bhuktva, having eaten that kind of grass. What does it do? Jalashayat toyam pitva. Toyam is water. Jalashayat, from any running water source. It could be in a stream or even like a water collected rainwater or whatever, right? Pitva, he just drinks that. But what does the cow do in return? Dugdham dadati. Dugdham, it gives us milk. Who? The cows. Lokebhyah, for the entire world. So the cows give milk to the entire world. So that is why gavo, gavaha. So the cows, lokasya mataraha. They are the mothers of the entire universe. Right? Don't you think so? It just eats dry hay and the grass and whatever is available, drinks whatever is water, doesn't demand anything from us. But what does it give us in return? It gives us very nutritious milk. Can we imagine? I know there are many vegans probably, but without being vegan, those days there was no requirement for veganism, right? Because the cows were tied in their backyard. The cows would give milk generously. There were no hormones and oxytocin pumped into the cow. So it was much more easier to be it was not required to be a vegan, let's say that way. So it used to give milk to everybody, it still does, to everybody without any self-vested interest. That is why we have to worship the cows, because are we going to hurt our mothers? No, right? Similarly, we cannot hurt cows because they are the mothers of the entire world. Many times when the mother is not feeding the baby anymore, even very young babies, after some time they start giving them cow milk, right? And milk is considered as amritam. In fact, Dharmaraja, when he was asked the Yaksha Prashna situation, he was asked 24 questions, and one of the questions was, what is considered as amritam? What food is considered as amritam, right? And he says milk, because that's the first thing to survive for any living being, right? Like humans especially. So that is considered as amritam, and the cow that is giving amritam is very, very divine. So we have to be very respectful and worship our cows. That's what the shloka is saying. And what I would like you to bring to your attention here is, see how wonderfully all these subhashitas and subhashitakaras considered about small day-to-day values. You know, worshipping the cow. They just did not tell you blindly worship cow. Today we don't know. If a cow is passing by, people are so invasive, they'll just go push it and do namaskara to it. But do we know why we are doing it? And you know, even there is some belief where if the cow's tail slaps on you, it is considered good luck and all these things. And like, why? We should think back, right? Because the cow is happy. It's not feeling constrained. If you see in all these, you know, I don't want to give you the pictures of this, but a slaughterhouse or whatever, the cows are not happy and they're not frolicky and all that. If a cow is playful and swinging its tail around and all, it's said that if you are kept the cows happy, your values are good. So that is why it will bring you luck. So much hidden meaning behind that. Now we stand next to a cow, slap me with the tail, I'll get luck. Not really, right? Gatanu gatiko loke, again, the same thing. We do not understand why it was considered as lucky. Luck comes to us if we are good, if we have done our job correctly, if we have followed dharma. All these were only indicators that you were following dharma, that the cows were happy in your land, that showed that you were dharmic. The king was dharmic. He did not encourage people to do bad stuff or be mean to animals. Those are the indicators only. So before we talk about omens, we should really consider what is the meaning behind that. Very, very important for us to keep that in mind. All right. So let's see the meaning. After eating dry grass and drinking water from the stream, cows give milk to people. They truly are like mothers to the world. All right. Any questions on this one? I don't see any. Looks like simple one. Okay, shall we move on to the next one? All right. So, it was Ishan. Can you unmute yourself? Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha. Can you unmute? Are you able to? Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha.
Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha. Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha.
Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha.
Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha. Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha.
Nirvyagram chidyate vanam.
Nirvyagram chidyate vanam. Nirvyagram chidyate vanam.
Tasmad vyagro vanam rakshet.
Tasmad vyagro vanam rakshet. Tasmad vyagro vanam rakshet.
Vanam vyagrancha palayet.
Vanam vyagrancha palayet. Vanam vyagrancha palayet.
Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha. Oh, sorry. Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha. Nirvyagram chidyate vanam. Tasmad vyagro vanam rakshet. Vanam vyagrancha palayet.
Nirvano vadhyate vyagraha. Nirvyagram chidyate vanam. Tasmad vyagro vanam rakshet. Vanam vyagrancha palayet.
Thank you, Ishan. So this is from Mahabharata. We are talking about environment and protecting the environment and all that. Just see how many centuries ago, how many millenniums ago they have thought about it. So I think if we date it back, Mahabharata is a good 5,000 years old, And at that, no, 5,000 plus 2,000 now, right? About 7,000 years old. And still in spite of that, they have thought about protecting the environment. They are giving us what protects the environment here. We all know the word Vyaghra, right? What does Vyaghra mean? Anyone wants to type in the answer? Tiger, correct. So tiger. So nirvanaha, if there is no forest, Vyaghraha vadyate. So if there is no tiger, if there is no forest, the tiger will die. Obviously, we all know that, right? We all know that logic. When there is no forest, there is no place for the tiger to live. It is going to die. Very simple, straightforward. Next quarter, something to think about. Nirvyaghram chidyate vanam. Nirvyaghram, without a tiger, chidyate is brought down, vanam. The forest is brought down. So why do you think they're saying that? Without a tiger, the forest is brought down. Can somebody type the answer if you know what they're talking about? Food chain, correct? What else? People will destroy. Yeah, correct. So the extension of the food chain, right? The food chain, we think we are the top of the food chain and we are invincible and we destroy the forests. So if there is no tiger, deer, especially where I live, we have a rampant problem of deer. They are so fearless. They come and eat up everything. You can't plant a thing outside. They will eat up whatever is there and everything else, right? So that is a big problem. And the population will become, because the deer will become so fearless with no predator, their population will multiply like crazy, right? And then they will graze through the entire forests. So the forest is destroyed, right? So if there is no tiger, there is no forest. If there is no forest, there is no tiger. It's such a mutual, symbiotic kind of situation. They thought about it. Now we are saying we have to be environmentally aware and, we have to worry about, global warming and all that. They thought about this centuries ago. Imagine how, forward thinking they were. So they're saying, Tasmat Vyaghram Vanam Rakshet. Hence, the tiger is protecting the forest, and in turn, Vanam Vyagrancha Palayet. So the forest is protecting and helping grow the tiger population. The national animal of India is tiger, right? And lately I was reading, I think finally the Save Tiger project has been successful. I think they have 500 tigers or something in the country now. They said it is not in the extinct situation anymore. 500% something, I forget the numbers, but they said the Save Tiger project has finally been really successful, which means it's really, really good for this place that we are living in when the tigers are protected. They knew the highest order of, although we call lion as the king of the forest, tiger was somehow given a lot more prominence because of its sheer majesticity and its power. So tiger and lion have their own different attributes. Tiger was always given this sthanam of, the one who protects the environment around. So we have to remember to be nice to all human beings and other animals. Let's see the meaning. If there is no forest, then the tiger gets killed. Without the tiger, the forest gets stripped. Hence, the tiger protects the forest and the forest guards the tiger. All right. There will be no animals if there are no forests. Correct. We have the Save Tiger project. Yeah, you're saying the same thing. So some say that the tigers were the kings of jungles. Was that ancient? No, tiger and lion were both kind of, they go like the two parallel lines of the train. They were always given importance. Both are predators. I think they were probably, if you have a lion and a tiger fight, then the lion is going to overpower. For that reason, I think the tiger was given a little lesser predominance. Another thing is tigers became man-eaters. Lions generally didn't become man-eaters. So people generally put the lions on top than the tigers. But they are both protecting environment. It's interdependent kind of situation there. And yes, lions are not common in all parts of India too. And tiger, that is why we declare tiger as the national animal as well. All right, no questions on this one either, looks like. Okay, nice. Oops. What happened? Hang on. Why is this looping up? All right. All right. So we have learned all these, right? So far, let us see. Finally, we all have to. We said we have. There are the same shloka could have been used in different scenarios. So how do we decide this? So is God going to be favorable to one person, partial to one person, like the alcoholic guy? Remember the alcoholic guy's sons? So who became good? Who became bad? Right? Who followed the wrong things? Let us see. Was it Ishan now? Ishan, go ahead, unmute yourself. I forgot who was supposed to do it. All right. Nadeva dandamadaya.
Nadeva dandamadaya. Nadeva dandamadaya.
Rakshanti pashupalavat.
Rakshanti pashupalavat. Rakshanti pashupalavat.
Yantu rakshitum icchanti.
Yam tu rakshitum icchanti. Yam tu rakshitum icchanti.
Sadbuddhya yojayanti tam.
Sadbuddhya yojayanti tam. Sadbuddhya yojayanti tam.
Together. Nadeva dandamadaya. Rakshanti pashupalavat. Yantu rakshitum icchanti. Sadbuddhya yojayanti tam.
Nadeva dandamadaya. Rakshanti pashupalavat. Yam tu rakshitum icchanti. Sadbuddhya yojayanti tam.
Awesome. Thank you, Ishan. Na devaha dandam adaya rakshanti pashupalavat. Yam tu rakshitum icchanti sat buddhya yojayanti tam. So we talked about all these examples, how one situation could have been interpreted from two different people in two different ways. Here, the Shlokakara, it is from Vidura Niti. So Vidura is saying, Devaha, the gods, dandam adaya, holding a stick. Na rakshanti, they will not protect us. Wait a minute, what are we saying here, right? You're saying gods don't protect us? Pashupalavat, like a cow herder. How a cow herder, you should all remember maybe in, how Kalidasa used to herd all the sheep with the stick and, he would make some noises and hit them and he would put them in line. And in like other example, we were saying if the sheep is falling off the valley, he will hit it with a stick and say, hey, there is a valley, come on this side, right? So like that, Devaha na rakshanti. The gods are not going to protect us like that. Really? We thought we have to pray to gods. Wait a minute. Yam tu rakshitum icchanti. Rakshitum icchanti. If they want to protect somebody, sat buddhya, with good intellect, yojayantitam. They will give them good intellect. They will give us, basically they're talking about free will here. Okay? They will give you buddhi. Okay? They will give you advice. They will give you situations. It's up to you to decide what you want to do. Right? So we cannot blame the God saying, oh, you didn't protect me. Because they will give you the tools to protect yourself. Right? Which is good intellect. So use your intellect to protect yourself. Don't expect somebody to come from some heaven, descend with wings like a yaksha and say, here I'm going to protect you. Right? So the protection happens because they have given us intellect already. So when we are youngsters, our job is to collect raw material of what is right from wrong, to learn dharma from adharma. And afterwards, when we are growing up and then grown up, it is up to us to make the right decisions, to use our intellect and not go astray, right? So probably he was telling it to either Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana, saying that, you know what, you are given the intellect. You want to use it, use it. You don't want to use it, you want to go, like I told you, right, in another class, where Duryodhana said, Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi, Janami adharmam nachame nivrittihi, he says. So you have buddhi, you decide. You want to do dharma or you want to do adharma, right? So that's what we need to keep in mind about. and not lament about somebody didn't come and protect us. We have to use our own intellect as well. God has given us that, right? He has given intellect to all of us. It is up to us how we use it and how we put it to effect. So gods do not bring a stick and protect us like herdsmen. They give wisdom to those that they want to protect. All right. Let's see if we have any questions on this. God helps those who help themselves. Correct, Nilima. People complain that Durbuddhi is also given by God. What a misnomer, right? God gives us. It is very easy to say. That's what Duryodhana could have done. God did not give me intellect. God gives intellect. Whether we use it for good or bad is up to us, right? God gives the power company will give us electricity, a switch, and we have the light also. And then we cannot complain the power company did not give me a light. My house is dark because power company did not give me. They put the light switch inside my house, which is my intellect. God did not give buddhi or durbuddhi or sadbuddhi. He gave us buddhi, and turning it on or off is up to us. We want light in our house at night, we have to turn on the light. If we don't want light, we have to turn it off. That's about what we have in our capacity. We should keep that in mind. Just being Krishna in Kurukshetra guiding Arjuna, correct. So God will just be the Krishna and guide us. It is up to us whether to listen to him or not. He gives us the faculty that is required for us. Like the kind of movie, oh my God, I guess so. The Akshay Kumar movie where, Akshay Kumar will just give prachodaras, but he's not really doing anything to make the decisions. He will just initiate him, but that is exaggerated with a separate person, God standing next to me, right? In that movie. But here in real life, there is no separate person. That God is our inner voice. So we have to listen to that. How sukshma we are depends on our inner voice, right? That inner voice is there for everybody. Do we value it or not? Or do we just curb it away? The inner voice is like that. If we keep curbing it, it will stop. It will say, you know what, you don't want to listen to me, I will not tell you anymore. So we are the person who are going to be losers at that point of time, right? All right. I think that brings us to the end of today's class already. Perfect. So ready for the quiz for today? Any other questions so far? Yeah, oh my God is also related to Subhashita 24, correct. All right, so Subhashita numbers, you may see it as off because whenever I've given you extra Subhashitas, I've included it in the PDF. You'll be getting this as a cluster in the end. So that is why you may see the numbers a little jumping in between. At least at the beginning of class, because the previous class would have been included. Okay, let me stop screen share and no other questions so far, right? Next week also there will be the class now. Yes. Sadhu and Shivalinga. I'm not sure I understand that context. Yes, we will have a class next week also. Let me finish the shloka for today, the quiz, and then we'll talk a little more. Okay, Nikita, can you unmute yourself? Natasyadirna tasyantam.
Natasyadirna tasyantam. Natasyadirna tasyantam.
Madhye yastasya tisthati.
Madhye yastasya tisthati. Madhye yastasya tisthati.
Tavapyasti mamapyasti.
Tavapyasti mamapyasti. Tavapyasti mamapyasti.
Yadi janasi tadvada.
Yadi janasi tadvada. Yadi janasi tadvada.
Together. Natasyadirna tasyantam. Madhye yastasya tisthati. Tavapyasti mamapyasti. Yadi janasi tadvada.
न तस्यादिर्न तस्यान्तं मध्ये यस्तस्य तिष्ठति तवाप्यस्ति ममाप्यस्ति यदि जानासि तद्वद.
All right. So this is a shloka which can be interpreted at a couple different levels, I would say. I will not give you the full meaning of the shloka because if I do, I will be giving away the secret for it. So let me just explain just literal word per word today and let's see if you can come up with the answer. Na tasya adihi. Okay. We all know what na means, right? Na tasya adihi doesn't have a beginning. Na tasya antam doesn't have an ending. Madhye yaha tasya tishtati. He who sits in the middle. Tava api asti, mama api asti. You also have, I also have. Yadi janasi. Next week vada. Adya na vadatu. Agami saptahe punaha milamaha tarhi vadatu. Okay, don't say now. So yadi janasi, next week vadatu. Okay. This can be interpreted. I did not give you the full meaning of the words also. I'll let you figure it out, okay? If you want, I can give you the shloka itself for a minute. You can write it down or however it works. I will not give you the meaning at all today. I'm looking for interesting answers for this one. Let's see. All right. Anyway, I'll send it in the emails also. You can refer back if you don't have time to take it down. So any other questions so far? Okay, any raised hands or nothing? No, right? All right. Okay. So, because all of you were eager to have more classes, we have extended this session to another week. We mentioned it last week also. And thank you so much for all the hearty emails I'm receiving from all of you. It's really nice to know that you're all enjoying the classes and you are very willing to learn. That interest that I see from you all really encourages me to come back and select really nice shlokas for you. And thank you so much for attending the 4 weeks so far. We will see you all next week again. And that will be the last class for this session, next class. And we will see after that. And some of you have asked for sources and stuff. We are going to give all that at the end of the course. We'll give you all the sources for this. So no worries. All right. Oh, this was your first class. Welcome to class, Swati. All right. Thank you very much. Shall we finish the class? All right. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Stay safe, everyone. Have a nice festival season and still stay safe at the same time. See you all next week. Namaste.